So I've gotten a lot of requests to show how I made that giant sword in one of my previous videos, and I thought, you know what, I could pull that off. I can kind of show you how to do it, but it's not going to be your usual typical tutorial video. It's going to be a little bit different, but hopefully you enjoy it. And yeah, all right. To start out with, find a location where you would like to put this giant sword. And happened to roam around this world. I found this giant freaking hole right here in the side of this hill. I'm not going to be doing it completely the same as I did previously, but I think I'm going to use a steel iron. I think last time I used stone and obsidian, so we're going to do some iron. So to start with, you need to figure out how big your sword is going to be, and I think today I'm going to go with if you get a diamond sword, or a image of a sword in Minecraft, it is about 16 by 16 pixels. Yeah, you're gonna do some math here. And what I decided to do is, okay, I'm gonna use that as a template. How much do I want to multiply that by, and how big of a sword compared to a normal Minecraft sword do I want it to be? So if each block was a pixel, and a pixel, and like I said, the sword is about 16 by 16, and I decided to do it times 8, which would be 128 blocks. Now, of course, we're doing an angle, so it's going to be a little bit weird and different, but so I'm going to do 128 blocks, and the easiest way to do this, I think, so I think what I'm actually going to do is start here, because I want this sword, let's give it a few blocks in, because we're also going to have a blade width as well, but we'll get to that later. I think right about, we'll do that. And I'm gonna do in a pattern like this. I'm gonna do 2, 2. So something like that. You do 2 up, go over, 2 more up, go over, 2 more up, in that pattern. And you're gonna count to 128 blocks. Now you can easily start at the bottom where you're gonna be, and then count your way up. But since I want the blade to rest on this river here, I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to build all the way down to the edge, and then I'll count how many blocks that is, and then I'll build the rest of the way up. Now this is not the blade, this is the entire sword, so 128 blocks is including the handle, but we'll figure out the proportion for that later. For now, I'm just getting the entire length of the sword. So I'm going to build that real quick, and we'll be here in just a second. Alright, once you get finished with that, I wanted to say before is that you can make this at any length you possibly want, and of course you can do it any angle you want. The only difference you need to make it a different angle is just increase the amount of blocks going left or right / up and down. So for example, if you wanted to do, you can do 3 at a time instead of 2, and it'll give you a more straight angle. Or you can even do it like this, where I did previously on the other video, and it's really weird, I know, is do it at like a diagonal pattern. So not only was I going diagonal up, I was also going diagonal this direction, which was really odd. But this time I decided to go straight in the horizontal plane. So with that done, there's 3 ways you can figure out the sectioning off of the blade, the handle, and the pummel. And the first way is what I did previously on the other video, where I actually went and found what kind of sword I wanted to relate to, or to kind of copy, and that was the gladius sword from Roman times, or at least what they used. And figure out the length of the blade, the handle, and the pummel, and just figure out the ratio amongst those, and then kind of relate it to this. Yes, that requires some math, I understand, and you know what, not everyone's like that and can't handle that. That is perfectly fine. Or you could just guess and go like, yeah, I want about the blade to be about this length right here, and do that, and then you want to handle this length. That's cool too. Third way, you could just copy the ratio of a Minecraft sword via its pixels, in which case which is what I'm going to do today, because I want to do it the math of ratio right now of other swords, which I think I wrote down. So I'm going to go with option 3, and that option is the ratio is, I'm going to do it via pixels. 11 out of the 16 pixels was the blade, 3 out of the 16 pixels was the handle, and 2 out of the 16 was the pummel. So using your calculations and knowing that this is a multiplied growth of 8, you just use those pixels and you multiply by 8, and there you go. In which this case is 88 pixels, or 88 blocks. So going from the very bottom, or would be easier actually to start from the very top. By the way, if you're doing this in survival, kudos to you, because this would seems like it'd be nearly impossible. And if you did, please send it to me. Send me a picture of it on my Twitter account, if you can. It's in the description if you want to check it out. I would love to see your builds, a copy of the giant swords, and what you came up with. But yeah, so anyway, I'm gonna start from the top because it'll be easier. And if you're in survival, you might want to start from the bottom. I don't know. But the pummel's only 2 by 6 out of the 16 blocks. So that'll be 16. 16 blocks is the pummel, and that seems really large. I may change that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm just gonna place these gold here because that is a pretty big pummel. But anyway, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. And then the next 3 pixels, which is 24 blocks, will be the handle. So right about there, we're gonna do a wooden handle this time. So there you go. That part is the handle. That's the pummel, and that's the blade. And I'm probably gonna change that pummel a little bit less. And this is where you can kind of tweak things if you don't like it. Because yeah, I think that's gonna be way too big of a pummel. I'm actually gonna probably change it to like here. Let's make it 8, and we'll get rid of this. Oops, not that. Alright, now that I have it sectioned off kind of where I want it, and of course you can always change this later. And I'm literally looking at this again. I may change it, but we'll see. It's got time to go ahead and figure out the blade width. Now, if you want to copy the Minecraft pixel sword, the pixels I think is 3 pixels wide, so you can do 24 blocks. But I'm not going to quite do that. I'm going to do like 19, I guess. So yeah, it's an odd number, but I think it'll work just fine. And yeah, we're going to do that and build our way up. And this is going to be the blade part. I'm not going to do the handle just yet, just the blade. And we're going to build. And this is what's going to take the longest time, is just building all these blocks, all these layers of the blade. Alright, so the next step is you're going to make the width of the blade itself. And I think I went instead with 13 blocks width, because I thought going the whole massive like 24 blocks was too much. So I went 13 blocks. After you finish the width of the blade, you want to add some thickness to the blade, because when you look at a sword, it's got some curvature, like some thickness to it. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding a layer block on both sides of the blade to give it more thickness. But you don't want to go all the way across. You want to leave the ends sharp to a point almost. So what I'm doing is I'm adding just a second layer about 2 or 3 blocks from each edge. And you're going to do that on both sides. And what you're going to see here soon is I find out that I created the angle of the blade wrong, and I'll correct it here in a second. And because it's a little bit off, when you make 2 edge, 2 up and 1 left, I realized to make it a perfect right angle, you want to do the opposites. You want to go 2 right and down 1, 2 right and down 1. And the next step, I decided to create the guard, and I can't remember how wide I made it. I think I made it about 28 blocks, or you can go just as far as you think. And of course, I went with a very simple guard design. You can go way more in depth, curvatures. You know, look online, get an idea of what kind of cool looking guard you'd like. Maybe there's a
one from a video game you like, or an anime or anything like that. And all I did was add 3-layer blocks on the sides to 3-layer thickness, and then just add a layer up and down on top and the bottom. And then now for the handle, which is made out of wood, I did the same thing I did with the guard, and I just made it well, not exactly the same, but I made it into just one in the middle and then one block on each side, and kind of made it shaped like that. And for the pummel, I just kind of formed it very carefully. What I did is I made the shape, basic shape I wanted, and then to thicken it, I just kind of left a block out from each of the edges, and just kept doing that until it looked pretty good that way. And yeah, that is the end of the sword. Then next after that, you just need to add a lot of detail, because you don't want just a plain sword. Maybe you do, I don't know. The best way to do that, like I said, for gold, I use some rusted techniques, and then you add some dirt and vines, and there you go.
Okay, and this is the final result. I did add in some diorite, which I thought made it look really good, into the iron. Replaced some of the iron with some diorite, and it kind of gave some texture and made it didn't look so blocky. So yeah, if you're doing a sword with iron like this, diorite's a good example of trying to make it find similar colors of blocks that you're doing your sword with, and try to just interchange them a little bit, like scatter them a little bit everywhere. It just gives it the nice kind of like I don't know, like texture feel into the sword, whether that's like it's older or ingrained, something like that. It looks really good. Now, I know in my previous video I did some detail work. Stone has just stone stairs, there's stone slabs, whatever, and you can implement those on the edges if you're using a block that has those, like on the edges here. But since I was using iron, I didn't really have that. Now I could have used diorite, and I think that would have looked fine, and placed them and scattered them around on the edges just to make them look a little more flattened. And the detail work with the grass and the vines is not fully grown yet, so like it would look a lot better once those vines have grown a little bit. Yeah, and overall I think it looks pretty good. It could use a little more work, but yeah, if you decided to, since you guys asked me to do this video, or a couple people asked me to do this video, show me your examples. I would love to see what you guys build. And yeah, you can show me on Twitter. It should be in the description if you want to follow me there. And yeah, just send me a picture my way. I would love to see it. And that's going to be it, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.